Hey, how's it going? This is Joe and Tell. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Triangle ELARA LN01A powered bookshelf speakers.
In June 2020, the first ever Hi-Fi Summit began. On October 22nd, the Hi-Fi Summit continues. We received feedback from attendees with overwhelmingly positive responses. Companies were happy with the outcome as well. In the first Hi-Fi Summit, we built long-term relationships between audio enthusiasts alike, as well as companies and their representatives. This time we promise an even more engaging experience, more fun, more learning, more everything. Of course, we'll have TechnoDad hosting the nightly after parties. Get your early bird tickets before October as our journey to the top continues.
Previously, I reviewed the Triangle BR03s. Those are very popular, and I like those. And these are some powered versions of a different line, their ELARA series. A lot of companies are coming out with powered bookshelf speakers because they understand that people want simplicity. And so that's what they're going for with these. Triangle speakers are designed in France and they always have a beautiful look. Same with these ELARAs. So right off the bat, I have to say that these sell for $859, a little bit steep for powered bookshelf speakers. Adorama actually has a special. If you use this discount code, I'll link down below, but it's LN Reviews and you get $200 off. So that might help. Regarding the size, these are about the same size as the Klipsch, the 5s that I've reviewed previously. These are slightly shorter, but overall they're about the same size. With regards to the knuckle wrap test, they sounded good. They don't sound like they have a lot of resonance. The enclosure is solid. So as you can see, they went for that European slim design, which I prefer. And these actually have real paint, and so that might be the reason for the added cost. It costs money to paint these things instead of putting just a inexpensive vinyl wrap on it. Another nice touch that I see is they added this bronze accent around the tweeter, and I like the way that that looks. It just gives it a nice touch. They also have some other colors that you wouldn't usually see for a speaker, and they're really beautiful in my opinion. Take a look at them here. They have kind of this purplish and this blue one, and very nice, organic, earthy tones. You'll also notice that this is symmetrical, something that they always pay attention to, just that attention to detail. They always look nice. The woofer looks nice. You see that it's a one-piece cone. I like the way that looks. And also this has magnetic grills, and they also look good with the grills on because they're not just a plain black grill that you'd normally see. They actually have this nice gray that looks good with the rest of the speaker. Unlike the Klipsch, when you use the remote on this, you actually do see the LED shining through, even with the grills on, so that's a nice touch. This is using a Class D amplifier, pushing 50 watts per channel. Now, one of the issues that I have with speakers that are powered is they tend to have some sort of hiss, and that's important if you're using them near field. With these, they weren't very hissy when you had them up close, although if you did turn it up to max volume, you were able to kind of bump up that hiss to a level that was unsatisfactory to me, but at medium volumes, they're perfectly fine at a desk. This does have Bluetooth, phono input, RCA, optical, as well as a subwoofer output, although the subwoofer does not have a high pass or low pass filter on that. One thing I appreciate is it also has tone controls for bass and treble, so you can adjust that to taste and depending on where you have it placed in the room. The bass and treble tone controls hinge at 1 kHz, which is where I prefer it to be. Alright, so as far as cons, I have to say that at the normal price, $859, it's a lot high. It's a lot high for a speaker of this price. There's a lot of other speakers that are powered at lower price ranges, maybe not as good looking, but yeah, even with a discount code, it's still kind of up there. There are other speakers in this price range that you might want to look at, but if you like the look of the speaker, then just go for it, you know. The other thing is it doesn't have HDMI ARC. Other competing speakers, actually one competing speaker does. This doesn't have a USB DAC, so if you wanted to plug it directly into the computer, you couldn't do that. So if you were to buy this at regular price, the remote at $859, this is just not going to cut it. You know, you want something premium to go with the premium look and the premium price. This does have a volume control on the back, so if you wanted to use these near field, like at your computer, at a desk, yeah, it's not very hissy, which is good, but the volume control's on the back, so that doesn't really help out. You have to kind of reach behind the speaker. It doesn't have a switch to go from left and right. You know, a lot of these other features that you might find in other speakers. Also, the thing that makes it unacceptable for use for me at a desk is that it has an undefeatable standby mode. So after 30 minutes, it turns off. So if you're using it at your computer, it doesn't turn on when you start moving the mouse, right? So that's an issue for me. That makes it tough to recommend for desktop use. The other thing about this is it does have a hard drop off. It almost seems like there's a limiter below 60 hertz. 55, 60 hertz, the bass it's almost non-existent at that point, and it feels like it's trying to protect the speaker, but that's not something that I like. I want it to have a little bit more bass extension. That's what I prefer. So as far as sound, it does have a nice wide soundstage. It's relatively flat, especially on the top end, and so the tweeter does extend the highs so that it's revealing. You get a lot of extra detail, maybe a little bit more than some people might want, but I think what they've done is they've tuned this so that it is flat at a normal listening position. Typically what you get is when you're sitting in a normal listening position, not near field, the treble will start to fall off. But what I did notice is when you're at your listening position, in my case about 7 feet away, the treble was still relatively flat. So it was more revealing than some of the other speakers I was comparing it to, but it might be down to preference. Fortunately, they have tone control for you to adjust that. So this speaker is picky as far as placement. So you're gonna have to play around and move it towards a wall, away from the wall, to see where the bass sounds the best, because when I was at my desk, I didn't really hear too much bass. Although in my living room area, there is a lot of room gain, so it benefited from that. And it got to the point where the bass sounded just neutral, very nice. Maybe a little bit more heft would have been useful, but for the most part, it did benefit from that room versus being placed in this other room. So you're gonna wanna mess around with that and see where you like it. The mid-range, I have no complaints. The treble, like I said, is a bit aggressive yet smooth. So it did it with ease, whereas other speakers seem to struggle to provide more detail. This did it very easily, so I applaud them for that.
All right, so here we are at the speaker leaderboard. Let's place these triangle ELARA LN01As. So powered speakers, where do they fit? So we have the Clips 5s, Vanitudes, Dynas, Kanto Tux. Yeah, so the U6 also didn't have a ton of bass. Less expensive though. AI60s are less expensive. I think that's a safe place right there. Right above the AI60s, below the 306Ps. Best bookshelf. AI60s had some compression issues where it compresses sound. I didn't really like that too much. These don't do that, so I have to go with those. But the Fluence are less than half the price, so you got to keep that in mind. Right now, these are under $1,000. They are over $500, regardless of whether you have a coupon code or not. So let's see where these place. I like those a little bit better, so I'm going to place them here. And then as far as best overall, RB42s are pretty awesome also. And I feel like the RB42 should be above the AI60s, to be honest. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put these here. All right, so there you have it.
So where I would recommend this is if you're using this in a small to mid-sized room and you want that extra detail and you want a beautiful looking powered speaker. I highly recommend using this with a powered subwoofer though. It doesn't have to be a huge subwoofer, but an 8, 10, 12-inch subwoofer, all those would help with the bottom end on these speakers, and I think that would make for a nice system. So anyway, that's my review of the Triangle ELARA LN01A. I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting me, allowing me to do what I love to do here. If you're interested in becoming a patron, patreon.com/JoeAndTell. I have stuff on there that's exclusive content. You're also going to start seeing stuff that I'm selling because I need to get rid of some of the extra gear that I have stored here. So look out for that. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.